the show warning you about the threat posed by MS-13, the criminal gang, which has at least 6,000 members in the U.S. and is known for its savage violence and international reach. It's a dangerous group. But what do we really know about them? Steve Levy is the former executive of Suffolk County, New York, which has spent years grappling with the growing MS-13 presence, and he joins us now. Thanks a lot, Steve, for coming on.
My pleasure, Tucker.
So the obvious question is, where did this group come from? It appears related to our immigration policy. Is that right?
Well, they surfaced from El Salvador. They've been around for a long, long time, but they've been growing by leaps and bounds. And a lot of people associate that growth with President Obama's decision to allow for these hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied minors to flood the border. 2013, 2014, you know, it's not 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds we're concerned about here, but 15, 16, 17-year-olds that come here without parents. MS-13 becomes their family, their protectors, and we're seeing a major growth in these gangs, and they're as vicious as can be, and we've got to stop the political correctness, go after these guys, and get them deported.
What did we think was going to happen? I mean, who thought that was a good idea? It just seems so obviously not a good idea.
Exactly, but of course, you know, it's all about identity politics here. You know, there was a coalition that developed from the Obama administration and those on the left. You know, I was formerly a Democrat, but I left the party in large part because of the extreme shift of the party on this illegal immigration matter. And, you know, it's all about building your base of college students, single women, and minorities, and the pandering got out of control, and they now become an open borders party, and we're seeing the results of it.
I think that's exactly right. So to MS-13, is this primarily a business enterprise?
It's organized crime. That's the way I look at it. And you know, the feds did a great job in tackling the Cosa Nostra and other organized crime elements. It's time that we treat MS-13 and other gangs just as we did organized crime. That means creating gang registries. So if you have a guy who's been convicted, why should he be allowed to hang out with other gang members? If you're an organized crime member convicted, you can't hang out with other organized crime members. We should follow that same policy as it applies to MS-13 members.
So you've got a problem out in Suffolk County and Long Island. We've got a map I want to put up on the screen. This is from ICE. And it shows the spread of this group from Miami to San Francisco to Boston, Newark. I mean, towns you would not expect to see this group. Where did it start, and when did this spread happen, and why didn't the rest of us notice?
Well, they've been around for years and years, but they've displaced the Latin Kings, the Bloods, and other such groups in the last several years. In large part, many believe because of the influx of the undocumented minors. We've seen anywhere from 2,000 to 3,500 of these undocumented, unchaperoned minors on Long Island alone in the last several years. We warned it was going to have major ramifications on our schools, on our hospitals, on our infrastructure, and our safety. And now we've seen a dozen young people murdered over the last year in just 2 communities alone, Brentwood and Central Islip on Long Island. It's nuts. The political correctness has to stop. We have to go after these guys and get them out of this country.
How involved are they in drug trafficking? Is that the primary way that gang finances itself?
It's primarily drug trafficking, but, you know, it's all about control. You talk to the superintendents and the principals at these schools, how they're intimidating, you know, kids, 13, 14, 15-year-olds in school, that they have to go out and commit a crime or they will be butchered. They'll threaten their families. It's the same type of horrible modus operandi that you see a guy like El Chapo carry out. It's now here in the States, in our suburbs, here on Long Island and throughout the country.
I'm becoming convinced of that, and I'm just so struck by the lack of news about this group or the lack of outcry from Americans that this is happening.
It's political
I just don't
correctness.
understand it. I think
it's
that's
just like you said, they're a bigger threat than ISIS are to us. And you know, if you're going to defeat the problem, you first have to admit what it is. Same thing with Islamic terrorism. If you don't say what the problem is, you can't defeat it. Here, there's a big white elephant in the middle of the room nobody wants to talk about. It's the link of the growth of these gangs and our lax immigration policies, Tucker.
That's right. Wow, what an eye-opening segment. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Tucker.